Hello, and welcome to Nostalgia Marcana. I'm your host, Doug Leaf. Each episode of this podcast, we'll look back on the movies, TV, games, people, and phenomena that we still love talking about all these years later, and ask ourselves why these bits of pop culture still enchant us today. This week, we'll be revisiting...
Hey kids, where you want to go? To Weird Al Yankovic's Imagination. We're talking about UHF today. For a long time, the only Weird Al Yankovic movie, until his recent Weird, I think is just the title of that movie, the Weird Al Yankovic story with Daniel Radcliffe. So for a long time, this was the primary Weird Al video content you'd see outside of his music videos and some oddball little things he'd do here and there in his concerts. And it's a cult film. It's one I have an immense, stupid amount of affection for. So I'm really glad we're talking about it just ahead, as you're hearing this, of the release of the 4K high-quality transfer version of UHF. So to help me do it, I've got a co-host here. He's my old co-host from my old show, A Podcast But Evil, someone I've been friends with for decades now, and someone who I've gone to see a Weird Al concert with, my good buddy Dan Oster.
Hey, it's great to be here, Doug. Thanks.
So I wanted you to come on and talk about UHF just because, you know, we've quoted this movie to each other a million times, but tell me about your nostalgic memories of Weird Al and the film.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So I'm definitely coming in unprepared. I know you did your homework and you watched it recently, but my joke about this is like the Incredible Hulk, that's my secret. I'm always watching UHF. It's always playing in the back of my mind. And for the real ones, they know that when you talk about the Weird Al movie, you're not talking about Weird, you're talking about UHF. I believe it came out in 1989, so I was probably about 8 years old. I remember it was maybe the only experience I really remember being like one of the only people in the theater. It did not do well when it came out. But yeah, I mean, I loved it, and we'll get into, you know, the various bits and stuff that are in it, because in true Weird Al fashion, of course, there's a lot of satire and parody in the movie. But even though I didn't know who like Gandhi was, I appreciated Gandhi 2, the commercial for Gandhi 2 and things like that. So yeah, I know that was great. And then of course, as a kid, just listening to Weird Al, I mean, I wore out cassette tapes, just playing this stuff over and over and over again. And similarly, there are quite a few songs, and I'm sure this is true for you as well, where I heard the Weird Al version before I heard the actual version. So it's like, oh, so it's not Another One Rides the Bus. Interesting. I didn't know.
Yeah, well, we did do an episode on Weird Al way back at the beginning of the podcast before it had any kind of shape to it or what I knew this show would end up working like. So you can go listen to that and hear me talk about Weird Al a bit. But I don't remember when exactly I first heard Weird Al, but my first concrete memory was receiving a copy of the cassette tape for his album Even Worse, which was the one that had the parody of Bad, Michael Jackson's Bad on it. And I got it for, I think, a Hanukkah present, and I wore that tape out. I must have listened to that a million times. And so that was the last big album of his. He had one more that didn't do so hot, Polka Party, I think it's called, before the movie came out. This was like a kind of a valley of his career, you know, before he hit the big time again with Off the Deep End, parodying Nirvana a few years later. And as you said, this movie didn't do very well. Not apparently it tested great, but unfortunately they released it in the summer of 1989 between like Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade and Ghostbusters 2 and Batman, and like it just got destroyed. Yeah,
it was quite a year for movies. I remember when you and I saw Weird Al during the incredibly self-indulgent tour or whatever it was, where he was doing, people call them his original songs, but they're really mostly genre parodies, and I think those are actually my favorite Weird Al songs, where he writes in the style of an artist, but it's a new song. It just could easily be Devo, or the B-52s or something. And he had a joke about it because he was introducing the theme song for UHF, which of course is UHF, and he's like, in 1989, a movie came out, and everyone was like, yeah, woo! He was like, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. And then he had some good joke about it. It's like, where the titular archaeologist is fighting people who have a lot of economic insecurity or whatever people were saying.
Good people
about
on
Trump
both
supporters.
Sides, I think.
Right, exactly. I was not that Weird Al's known for getting political, but I thought that was a pretty good jab.
Yeah, and I believe Emo Phillips, who is a longtime friend of his, and of course is in this movie as the shop teacher, he opened that show.
He did, and he was very incisive and somewhat political at times. Yes, he is in UHF as the guy who chops his fingers off and shooting blood everywhere. Well, call me Mr. Butterfinger.
Yep. But I also, like you, I saw this in the theater, and I remember loving it. My dad took me to see it. I went to the movies a lot that summer, and I wasn't going to miss this because I loved Weird Al, and so did my dad. He was real into him too. And so, yeah, Weird Al's always been kind of a part of my DNA from that point forward. My first actual concert, going to see a concert, was going to see Weird Al for the Off the Deep End tour. And as I talked about in that episode, I actually interviewed him in college for when I was writing for the UCLA Daily Bruin.
That's correct. Yeah, you did tell me that.
Yeah, and I put that audio from that interview at the end of the Weird Al episode I did way back then. I may put it in here as well, just so people can hear it. Just because this is kind of fun to get some like extra kind of like time with Weird Al, even though it's my piss poor interviewing skills that will be prompting him for very funny answers. But he was a prince about the entire process. He was extremely kind, and yeah.
Oh yeah. No, he's clearly a very nice guy. And so for those that don't know about the movie UHF, I mean, it's funny because there's a movie that maybe even less people have seen, The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, which is based on is it a short story, I believe. This movie is basically a riff on Walter Mitty. It's a guy who is like, he gets lost in these like daydreams, and then they used it as a vehicle for Weird Al's parodies and his desire to kind of do these like little vignettes and stuff. So that that structure is a big part. I mean, we get into the actual plot of the movie, but like that's an essential component, is that the main character,
George Newman.
Yeah, George Newman, thank you, is prone to daydreaming. He's got his head in the clouds.
Right. As you said, that is a crowbar they use to work parodies into the movie where they otherwise might not fit. But I think we should also talk a little bit about the rest of the cast, which it's got a wonderful cast of really talented, funny people.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. People that, would go on to do much bigger things, and then they just like briefly stopped off in this movie.
Yeah. Well, so first one, of course, is Michael Richards, Kramer from Seinfeld, who sort of doing a proto version of Kramer here as Stanley Spadowski.
I mean, it is a character that I still find very funny, but maybe hasn't quite aged as well as you would like. I mean, he is he's got some issues, some mental issues.
He's a child, basically. He's got the mind of a child.
I mean, he's Lenny from Of Mice and Men, and he's the janitor at the. So just to give people a foundation so they understand what we're talking about here. In this movie, Weird Al's character George Newman inherits a failing radio station really far up on the dial. No one's watching, in the middle, of a town that no one lives in, and so
TV station, I should say.
Yes. So what did I say?
You said radio, and no one's watching.
I said radio station. Yeah, exactly. No one's watching. Excuse me. I'm very hungover, but that's not unusual. Anyway, it's a TV station, and so when he gets there, there's a skeleton crew of people, and they're all. It's a motley assortment of strange individuals. And so, yeah, Michael Richards plays Stanley Spadowski, the janitor. Fran Drescher is the receptionist, and
right.
It's sort of a subtle gag that she wants to be doing the news because her voice is so cloying, but she wants to be on the air doing the news.
And of course, that's not exact. Her real voice isn't quite that annoying. She's amping it up.
No, she's playing it up for sure.
And both of them, huge careers after this point. The real interesting one I found out just researching it. So Weird Al's character George, his best friend is Bob.
Right.
Bob was almost going to be played by Jerry Seinfeld, which is crazy to think that he and Michael Richards in the
weird.
same thing. Yeah,
that would have been very strange.
Like 5 years before the debut of Seinfeld.
So then, in a career height, career best performance, Kevin McCarthy, known from the original Invasion of the Body Snatchers, plays the heavy, the guy who runs the ride. Well, he doesn't. Does he? No, he doesn't.
Yeah, he runs the network affiliate, Channel 8.
Okay, Channel 8. But the big guys, the big fish, and the villains of the piece. It's really it's a slobs versus snobs story as well.
Yeah, this is very 80s formula stuff. They're going to bulldoze the community center because the tycoon wants it, right? We've seen this in a million things. But man, Kevin McCarthy, not the former Speaker of the House, just same name. This guy you can tell he's just having the time of his life playing such a shitheel. He just eats scenery, and I think he's one of the highlights of the movie. He's so funny in every scene he's in.
Yeah, it actually reminds me a lot of Ted Knight from Caddyshack. It's a very similar character type. Just total, scenery chewing, very, very, very funny, and just a irredeemable pile of shit. This character, just how low can you go? You don't feel bad at all, when he gets his comeuppance because they've made him so terrible.
No, and all of the actors in this know exactly what tone to play things at. It's pretty amped up. It's fairly cartoonish, but in a way that's still it's not veering out of control in terms of the performance. It's
no, it has an internal cohesion. There is a story. It's not just it's not Kentucky Fried Movie. But that was the other thing that they were able to use structurally to get the Weird Al kind of stuff in there, because when he takes over the television station, I do want to keep calling it a radio station, he started suggesting the programming and coming up with a bunch of original stuff, and that's where you get some of the, that's where you get Conan the Librarian, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just wanted to give people kind of a foundation so they understood the basic thing before we kind of do it chronologically.
And there is one other cast member I want to mention here, and that is Victoria Jackson, who so plays his girlfriend Terry in the movie. Not kind of a small part, not she doesn't get to do a lot of funny stuff, even though obviously she was on SNL for years and was very funny, but she ended up being instrumental in saving his career, because when she was on SNL, she was the one who basically made the love connection to Nirvana, who was performing on SNL. So when Weird Al was like, gee, I think it'd be really funny to do a parody of Smells Like Teen Spirit, she was the one who helped him get in touch with them to be able to get their permission to do it. And that, of course, again, vaulted him back into the limelight in a big, big way. So
that's very cool. Yeah. I didn't know that. That's a cool little story. I didn't know that. Yeah, so a kind of a murderer's row of talent in this movie, despite it being very, very silly.
Yeah. So why don't we get into it? Because there's a whole lot of silly stuff to talk about, and the joys of this very ridiculous movie will come out as we work our way through it. So we open with a truly classic kind of one-for-one Weird Al parody of probably the most famous cold opening of any movie, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Senor, we must not go any further. Look! It is an ancient sacred Ovita symbol. It's certain death for anyone who enters. We must turn back. Now!
George, subbing in for Indy, goes into a temple to retrieve a golden statuette, which of course is an Oscar.
Look it up on YouTube, guys. Look up, if you do nothing else, look up the opening to UHF, because it's a pretty good standalone bit for sure.
Yeah, and there's so many like fun little like gags in it. Like they take their time with it. They do kind of the bit where you don't see his face for a long time, just like with Indy. You've got the two like locals that are acting as his guides.
It's just classic Weird Al bits. I mean, like he whips the guy's arm off completely, or like when he's going into the temple, it's got a bunch of like street signs that say like "Do not enter" and like flashing lights. I mean, it's so silly.
This is real Mad Magazine in terms of a parody. And I mean that in the best possible way. There's a bunch of funny bits in here. I think so. My favorite, a couple of my favorite ones. One is that the Alfred Molina stand-in does not die, kind of double crossing him. Instead, like he goes out, he's too afraid of the temple and he runs out, and just out of nowhere, just a train hits him.
It's just absurd.
Yeah.
So yeah, the whole thing's great. Like I said, look it up. You won't be disappointed. And then we match cut after he gets squashed by the boulder and is sizzling on the pavement to a sizzling burger patty, because we see that he's actually been lost in a daydream and he's working at a fast food restaurant.
Yeah. One other bit from the Raiders opening I want to point out here, because I can't even play a clip of it really, because it's mostly wordless. So when he goes to get the statuette, they go through this. The movie's not particularly patient. That's generally not Weird Al's style. But I love the buildup of him, like he's futzing with the sand of like, I've got to get the bag to weigh exactly the same as and after this whole long thing, he just goes, screw it. And he just grabs grabs it. Yeah.
I also want to point out too, and because there's a number of these parodies in the movie that parody movies, other films, and the score that's like the not quite Indiana Jones music is very funny. Like I'm always a fan of sound-alike movie scores that are just a little off. So that's another thing that makes it really funny to me.
I don't know if Weird Al actually did the score, but he is good at that. You talked about these style parodies he does, and I always love it where it's like they almost like they try to like map the DNA of an artist, and then like we're going to create our own slightly off-brand version in a way that's fun.
Right, and it's just a little exaggerated. It's just a little too much too. It's a little too bombastic. It's a little too goofy, and so like the music is also funny. But anyway, so we match cut into I forget the name of the restaurant. You just saw it.
Big Edna's.
Oh yeah, that's right. You're always talking about Big Edna. Classic. She's right behind me, isn't she? Kind of a joke there.
Yes. And before that, though, he does lay in this whole thing about he can't hold down a job.
George. Hello, Earth to George. George! Are you daydreaming again? No, I was just admiring how clean and shiny this grill is. Come on, George, we're busy here. You know what the problem is? Nobody here appreciates a guy with a good imagination. Well, at least not the people at the lumberyard, or the miniature golf course, or Floyd's fish market, or any of the other places he worked in the last month, right? Yeah, well, someday they'll be sorry. They'll be eating breakfast or something, and all of a sudden they'll say, "Hey! We screwed up! We never should have fired George Newman because he's got imagination." Well, I think the fries are just about done. Oh, jeez, you better not let Big Edna see that. She'll have a fit. Big Edna. He's not like a broken record. Why are you so afraid of that pathetic tub of lard?
Because he's constantly daydreaming. Bob calls him out on that.
Yeah, it's a little expositional thing here. You're always daydreaming.
Yeah.
We're going to lose another job because of you.
Right.
Also a very 80s trope that, like, these two friends, they just do everything together. All the jobs they have are together.
Yeah, you'd almost picture them as like, I don't know, Yogi and Boo Boo or something. Like they have to be a
Right,
two-hander.
yeah. Just weird. But anyway, yeah, so
Yeah, she tosses them out on their ass.
says some very unkind things about Big Edna, who's right there, and then she, one of them in each arm, throws them into the air and out on their asses.
Well, and they go up into the air for a comically long. We don't see them; they go out of frame, and we just hear them screaming.
Right, of course,
like cartoon stuff.
Yeah, Weird Al never wastes an opportunity for a bit. I mean, that's for sure.
No, and so they sheepishly make their way back home to their apartment, which is adjacent to Cooney's karate school. We'll get a little more time.
Yes, we meet Cooney.
Yes, Getty Watanabe
with his iconic line, "Stupid." They so stupid. I believe he's talking about his students who he keeps like kicking out of the windows or whatever.
Yeah, so it's on the second story, and so like people come like literally like you hear like a lot of like kung fu karate chop. Hong Kong Phooey type noises, and then someone comes like flying out of the window, and they comment like, "Oh, it's a beginner class." And
beginner class today, huh? Yeah. They're so stupid. Sorry, that's how he talks. Cooney, also a recognizable character actor.
Getty Watanabe.
Perfect. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah. He's very funny. So they go home. George tries to cheer Bob up by making his favorite, a Twinkie Wiener sandwich.
Which really feels like the kind of like food hack you would now see on Instagram. It is a Twinkie cut lengthwise with a hot dog in it and Cheese Whiz on top.
Yeah, that sounds awful. It's funny.
Someone has to have tried that.
I'm guaranteed someone has tried it. I watch like every once in a while I'll scroll through Facebook and they have those little like reels that like I don't know why it wants to show them to me, but it keeps showing me these reels, which I think must be from like what's his name? The English guy who yells at everybody, Gordon Ramsay.
Yes.
Yeah, Gordon Ramsay's like TikTok. And it's like him on one half of the screen as he watches somebody else prepare food on the other side.
Right.
Half the time he's like, "Hey man, that's really great. Like that's awesome." And the other half it's him just going like, "What the fuck am I looking at? And
what are you doing?"
And it's literally like that. It's like, okay, you take a whole cabbage, you hollow out the middle, and you fill it with ground beef and 2 hunks of cheese. Then you bake it it's like, and he's just watching this in horror.
There's a subreddit, I believe, called "Stupid Food" or whatever. That's basically where this would live.
Absolutely. So they're discussing their career options. What are they going to do? George says, "Well, sometimes you just got to grab life by the lips and yank as hard as you can." But he's lost track of the time. Fortunately, a fist comes through the wall from the karate studio with a watch on it to let him know that he's late to go meet with his girlfriend Terry.
Right, and which gets him in hot water. And did she break up with him there?
Not yet. That's later. But she's definitely not happy with him. This is an ongoing problem.
So what's your excuse this time?
Well, Bob and I were having a serious discussion about our various career options. Boy, I really like what you've done with your hair. It's really...
George, did you get fired again?
Yes, it's all true. I just don't know what's wrong with me.
So what's for dinner? Mashed potatoes? My favorite. Terry, you shouldn't have.
George, when are you gonna start taking things a little more seriously? I mean, you've been wandering aimlessly from job to job ever since I've known you. If you could just get that overactive imagination of yours to work for you instead of against you, maybe you could... What are you doing?
This means something. This is important.
Once again, he's so distracted that he's late for their date.
Yes, but he then grabs a pot full of mashed potatoes and proceeds to go Close Encounters of the Third Kind, just making a pile that looks like a mountain.
This means something. This is important.
Right, and she just stares blankly at him. I do like here that he does this like turn on a dime stuff where he like freaks out. He's like, "I just don't know what's wrong with me." Is he like banging his head against something and he goes, "Oh, hey, mashed potatoes." Like he does that a few times in the movie.
Yeah. So then, and I'm just remembering this from the last time I saw it, which is probably a year or two ago. Do we introduce now his uncle?
Yeah, so he goes to visit his aunt and uncle, his uncle Harvey, who has been winning. We find out he's a gambler. He's being congratulated for doing well by Big Louie, he's Dr. Claw from Inspector Gadget. We
just see his hand and a cigar or whatever. Yeah.
Right, and it's not an actual hand. It's a prosthetic hand. He like unscrews it and puts a meat cleaver on the end of it.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, great, yeah.
Yeah, again, Dr. Claw. But we find out that he won the deed to channel U-62 in a poker game, and since George needs a job, his aunt interrupts him from, I believe he's ladling punch from the punch bowl into a dog's mouth. And interrupts him.
Call him over, and he just drops the dog in the punch bowl. Yeah,
right. To give him his new assignment. So George and Terry head out to go check out U-62, which appears to be in the middle of nowhere. I know they filmed this in Tulsa, so they've got some wide open spaces to shoot in. But yeah, like this is. Like you cannot see this is like it's just like a small rectangular building, a giant antenna, and like grass as far as the eye can see. It's really like nowhere.
Yeah, so we talked about some of the people he encounters. There's Stanley Spadowski. There's I forget Fran Drescher's character.
Pam.
Do you remember her name?
Pamela Finkelstein.
We didn't talk about Milo yet.
Philo.
Philo, excuse me, the engineer, who is doing weird science experiments in the TV station.
Yeah, Philo, I assume a reference to Philo Farnsworth, the inventor of the TV.
Oh,
I assume
very
that's
nice.
where that comes from. But yeah, he says he's their chief engineer. He lives there at the station, and he asks George to hold what appear to be just two giant wires, and then they electrocute him.
Yeah, which is like a shot that I think has been used in the promotional material with the like electricity, and his hair is all going crazy and everything.
Yeah, the international title for this movie, they wanted to call it like The Vidiots.
Yeah, that's what
like,
my Dutch friend Vlad knows it as The Vidiot.
It's like The Vidiot from UHF. It's like an even weirder title.
Yeah,
you can just call it UHF. Maybe they just didn't use UHF.
No, I don't think they did. Which is ultra high frequency, which basically means like because kids going way back, it was VHF and UHF. I think were the two sort of broadcast signals that you could get, and
actual
VHF,
radio waves being broadcast.
Yeah, to your television,
right.
And UHF I think was the one that was like more local, right?
Yeah, these were definitely like smaller stations with smaller programming sets on it. They would mostly, as this one does, show reruns because they got nothing else to put on, which is
right.
They would get syndicated Mr. Ed reruns and stuff and show that, like
which is I think what this station is running like when he gets there.
Yeah, and it's interesting, like this movie, like you really do have to realize, like, yeah, this is what TV was for a long time. This whole idea of like affiliates and small markets, like that doesn't exist anymore in the world where everything is zeros and ones over the internet now.
Yeah.
So
no, this is there's a real analog charm to all of this.
Yeah. So Bob comes to the station the next morning, and I love that George tells him, "Oh, it's just like working in a fish market without cleaning and gutting fish."
Except we're not cleaning and gutting fish all day. Yes. Yeah. And so he gets in there,
and they meet Pam.
I don't know about this, George. I don't know the first thing about what goes on at a television station.
Don't worry, Bob. It's just like working in a fish market. Except you don't have to clean and gut fish all day.
Yeah, so? Can I help you?
Hi, I'm George Newman. I'm the new station manager.
You know, when I first took this job, they told me that this position was only temporary, and that eventually, when the time was right, I would be moved up to news, which is really my forte. You know how long I've been working here? 2 years! It's kind of hard to get promoted when every other week you have a new boss. This job really sucks.
And this is my friend Bob. Hi, nice to meet you.
Yeah, we're introducing the characters, and we see some of the programming that is currently on, right? And that's just like, I don't know. Yeah, it's do we see some of the stuff that's on the air? Oh, yeah. Well, there's Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, so when they're walking around the station, you can sometimes just hear in the background, like, it's like Green Acres or whatever it is, reruns.
Right.
But then, we'll see what we see now is after we get this introduction to Pam, where she's pissed that she doesn't get to do the news, and she's pissed that management just
right because there's a new boss, and it means every time there's a new boss, she basically all of her progress gets kind of reset.
Right. And so, but this is where we start seeing, some of the programming that's on. So we get Crazy Ernie's used cars, this commercial.
Howdy, friends. It's Crazy Ernie from Crazy Ernie's Used Car Emporium. It's a giant supermarket of cars. I got so many cars, people come up to me and say, "Hey, Crazy Ernie, where'd you get all those cars? Looky here. I got red cars. I got green cars. I got enough cars to choke a camel." Tell you what, friends, if nobody comes down and buys a car from me in the next hour, I'm gonna club this baby seal. That's right. I'm gonna club a seal to make a better deal. You know I'll do it too, because I'm crazy.
Like straight up parody of so many. I mean, I watched so many of these commercials like this.
Cal Worthington,
and his dog Spot. Which, again, nobody knows outside of Southern California, probably, but that was our local.
Go see Cal. Go see Cal.
Yeah, and I know there was like a Crazy Eddie or something who sold used cars. Like that's what he's drawing on here. But there is one of these guys in every market, which was like, you can't believe this deal I'm doing.
And that's another thing in this movie is periodically there's like commercials that'll come on just to be goofy. So there's like Spatula City. Buy 9 spatulas and get the 10th for just 1 penny.
Right. I get just more excuses for Weird Al to do these commercial bits and parodies.
And what better way to say I love you than with the gift of a spatula?
Right. We'll get there. But this right now.
Well, it's not chronological. We can do it now and then say we covered it. It's fine, Doug. Oh no, we talked about the Spatula City commercial before they showed the Spatula City commercial. This podcast is ruined.
I just don't know what's wrong with me. All right. So we watch as he says he's going to club a baby seal, the true like crazy stuff. But now we get exactly what we were talking about. Like the station shows too many reruns. So George and Bob are talking about, we need more live shows. At which point Pam comes in with a piece of mail that was supposed to be delivered to RJ Fletcher at Channel 8. It was accidentally delivered to them. And George decides, well, he should go personally to deliver this mail so he can meet and greet the competition. And he can't be all that bad. At which point we immediately match cut to Fletcher berating someone who turns out to be his son.
You idiot! Can't you do anything I tell you to do? Does this look like a number 2 pencil?
No, I just thought that
You thought? I don't pay you to think?
But Dad...
Shut up! Let's get back to the meeting. All right, who's got the research report?
I left the report on your desk, sir.
I don't see it. When did you put it here?
Yesterday before I left, sir.
The janitor. It must have been the janitor. He probably threw it out when he was cleaning up in here. Send in the janitor. I'm gonna get to the bottom of this. I will not tolerate this kind of behavior at Channel 8. This is a business, not a home for irresponsible puss brains.
What if you watch the original Invasion of the Body Snatchers, which he's great in, and it ends with this classic 50s sci-fi thing of like they kind of break the fourth wall and he's just screaming,
"You're next!"
Like that mania of like "You're next!" Like that's the level he's at for almost every scene he's in.
Again, I will just say the bits as I remember them. They are completely interchangeable, but one of the jokes and take that ridiculous thing off, and the guy's wearing this huge cowboy hat with like a raccoon tail and everything, and so he reaches up and pulls off his mustache.
Yes, great sight gag.
Just stupid shit all throughout this movie.
So the next thing that comes up in this board meeting is that this file can't be found of important work, research, whatever it is. And so they hit on the idea that, hey, the janitor was in here cleaning. He must have accidentally thrown away the file.
Oh, that's right. So Stanley was working at Channel 8.
Right. So they bring in Stanley Spadowski, the janitor, and he says he doesn't think he threw it out, but Fletcher just fires him on the spot anyway. And after Stanley is sheepishly kind of exited from the room, he looks down and goes, "Oh, there it was. It was here the whole time." And they just laugh.
Right.
He's true, absolute villain shit. So at this point, this is when George shows up to deliver the mail. And this is a great bit where, so the whole like room office is like bustling and and he just walks into the room and goes, "Hey, RJ." And
it just stops. Yeah.
Hey, ready home, I call.
Yes, Mr. Fletcher.
Hey, RJ! Hi, George Newman, U62. Say, nice place you got here. I was just thinking, since we're both in the business...
Where'd you get this? Do you realize that stealing mail is a federal offense?
Hold on, you don't understand.
No, you don't understand how serious a crime this is. I think you just better clear out your desk and get out. You're through, mister.
But I don't work here.
Trespassing, huh? Well, you've got 10 seconds to get out before I call the police.
Look, I just thought we could maybe...
5, 4, 3...
Gee, look at the time. Well, gotta go. Keep in touch.
Yes, dead silence. Everyone freezes. Very funny. And so at this point, I think Fletcher tries to fire him, which he responds like, I don't work here. And he says, "Oh, then you're a trespasser."
A trespasser. Yeah.
Yep.
Call security. Yeah.
Yeah. Just great meeting with this guy. But on his way out, George sees them ripping Stanley's mop from his hands. This mop.
Oh yeah, his beloved mop. That's right.
Yeah, and he's saying that's mine. It's not a company mop; it's my mop. And after that, George kind of feels bad for him and kind of just says, "Well, why don't you come work for me?"
So that's how they pick up Stanley. Yes.
No, please. It's all I've got left.
Let go. This is station property.
No, it's my mop.
Let's go. Go, you idiot.
That's my mop.
Not anymore, buddy.
Hey, are you all right?
It's just not fair.
Come on, forget about it. It's only a mop.
Only a mop. Only a mop. You don't understand. That mop was given to me for my birthday when I was 8 years old. We've never been apart. Now I don't even have a job anymore. After 15 years, they just tossed me out like an old bag of moldy tangerines. What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do?
Well, maybe you could come work for me.
Really? You mean it?
Sure, I guess we could use a janitor.
Stanley Spadowski.
George Newman.
Oh, I'm mighty glad to meet you, George. Hey, I'm gonna do a really good job. You won't be sorry. I'm really gonna do a good job for you, George. I'm a good janitor. Want to clean the glasses for you?
No, that...
I'll make them real shiny, real shiny. Good, we're friends, huh, George? We're friends.
Yeah, their relationship is actually he's very sweet, and so you kind of feel for him. He's like such a nice, innocent soul. I've had that mop was a present for my 8th birthday. We've never been apart.
Yeah, very strange. Right. So then we get to see some of the content that George is putting on the air, right?
Not quite. First, we get one more nod to what pieces of shit Channel 8 are, because Pam is given her shot to go cover some news. And she meets the cameraman, Noodles, played by famous little person actor Billy Barty, who...
and of course, part of the joke here is that the cameraman, is very, very short. So it's the angles are very low.
Yes. Billy Barty, just an incredibly funny character actor. He's the village elder in Willow. We did Masters of the Universe on this podcast about a year ago. He plays Gwildor in that. He's been in a million things. Just really talented, funny guy. But yeah, he's Noodles McIntosh is there to help. But yeah, before they can really film anything at City Hall, RJ Fletcher Junior or whatever just trips him up and he just falls and hurts his arm and breaks his camera. Like, it's just, this is not played for laughs. It's actually kind of sad.
Oh, did I do that?
Oopsie.
Whoopsie. Yeah, I mean, that's also a very classic 80s villain voice that doesn't happen anymore.
No.
Dad! That guy.
Yeah, and he says, broads don't belong in broadcasting. So they're nursing Noodles' wounds, and she calls over to Fletcher to complain. And I love his retort, of course, after being told this is, I've told him a million times, never call chicks broads.
Oh, yeah.
Piece of shit. But now we get to what you were talking about, which is let's see what they're putting on the air, because we get our first episode of Town Talk with Emo Phillips.
Hello, and welcome to Town Talk. I'm George Newman, and today our special guest is local high school shop teacher, Joe Early. Joe, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, homeboy.
Well, I see you've brought some equipment with you today. Would you mind giving us a little demonstration?
Not at all. There's only a few simple principles you must bear in mind before attempting to operate a sophisticated piece of machinery like this
Table saw.
Lots of times when my students
Whoa!
What? Do you believe this? Oh, will you look at that? Oh, just call me Mr. Butterfingers. I think it's on the floor somewhere. Oh, is my face red?
And I wrote in here, so he's playing the shop teacher who's being interviewed. I thought I caught this in the mix. I didn't watch with the subtitles on, but I think after George introduces him, his response is, "Thank you, homeboy."
Yeah, it's just very bizarre. But yes, local shop teacher. We already kind of went over this bit, but yeah, he's basically being interviewed while he's cutting wood and just is slicing his hand to pieces and just going like, "Oh, whoops," and spraying blood everywhere, and it's all very silly.
Yeah, I love that. Just before that, I think George says something to him about oh, what an interesting, complicated piece of equipment that is. Or he says that, and then George just goes, "Table saw?" And then Emo Phillips' reaction is just to go like, "Ooh, la-di-da," silently.
Yeah. Look at this smarty pants here,
Yeah. So now we get our Spatula City commercial.
There's just one place to go for all your spatula needs. Spatula City! Spatula City! A giant warehouse of spatulas for every occasion. Thousands to choose from in every shape, size, and color. And because we eliminate the middleman, we can sell all our spatulas factory direct to you. Where do you go when you want to buy name brand spatulas at a fraction of retail cost? Spatula City! Spatula City! And this weekend only, take advantage of our special liquidation sale. Buy 9 spatulas, get the 10th one for just 1 penny. Don't forget, they make great Christmas presents.
And what better way to say I love you than with the gift of a spatula?
Spatula City! Spatula City!
Hello, this is Cy Greenbloom, president of Spatula City. I like their spatulas so much, I bought the company.
Spatula City, 7 locations. We're in the yellow pages under spatulas.
My, where did you get that lovely spatula?
Spatula City, which we've already covered. I'm sorry.
It's all right. I do
go back now. Now go back and listen to us talking about it.
Yes,
We'll wait for you here.
I love that it ends with Cy Greenbloom here. I love the company so much I bought it. That kind of thing.
I bought the company.
Yeah.
And I mean the bit in the beginning is funny too. It's like the kids are bored or whatever, so let's go to Spatula City. Yay! Come on, kids.
Yep. And I love the music they use for this. It's very just very jazzy. Perfect. And so now we get another thing that they're showing on the air, which is we get our first episode of Uncle Nutsy's Clubhouse.
Right. So this is one where George is Bob hosting?
No,
George
is hosting.
Yeah, George is Uncle Nutsy. Yeah, and this is very much like a Bozo the Clown kind of a situation
Captain
where the
Kangaroo.
kids are sitting in the bleachers while they just do bits on stage.
Yeah, and this is absolutely something that is like this. You talk about like analog stuff. Like this was out of fashion by the time of like 1989. Like this was like stuff that was like maybe going out of style in the early 80s. It was on its way out at the latest.
Absolutely, yeah. That's Weird Al's always had that kind of weird old fashioned quality too. So
yeah, there's like stuff like your parents. We'll talk about like Soupy Sales, like these kinds of guys. So yeah, he's just in a big like checkered jacket, trying desperately to like work in fun, and he brings in.
And the kids are like, the kids just hate him. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're.
Oh yeah, Bobo the Clown. That's right.
Yeah, after the kid spits in his face, he brings in Bobo the Clown.
So this is his buddy Bob now, who has to play Bobo the Clown. Clearly, everyone has to wear a lot of hats in this TV station.
Right, and so he takes a frying pan to the face for comedy. It was clearly like hurts a lot, and then
he just hits his friend in the face with a frying pan.
And
Say
then,
hello to Mr. Frying Pan.
Yeah. And then the indignities continue because he's trying to hawk their sponsor, and instead of grabbing the butter cookies he's supposed to be selling, it's Yappy's dog treats as he shoves them into Bob's mouth, who runs off to puke. With that real liver and tuna taste, with just a hint of cheese. And so now we get to Terry's cleaning teeth. That's what she does. She's a dental hygienist.
Oh, yeah, this is Victoria Jackson, his girlfriend.
Right. And so first we get this interview between Pam and the head of like, it's not the NRA, but it's like, the fictional NRA. Mm-hmm. I don't know who this actor is, but this guy's got like a real rubbery, like weird face. It's sort of Robin Williams-esque, but like, what if Robin Williams was a melted candle? I don't know how to describe it. He does like, guns don't kill people. I do. And then he does this. Oh, yeah. It's like real weird looking face he makes. But then George comes over for a special news bulletin to invite her out to dinner. All right, so I'll move past that to now we get two more things in rapid succession. First, we get the Plots Are Us mortuary commercial.
Are you tired of sloppy, cut-rate funerals? You've tried the rest. Now try the best. The Plots Are Us mortuary service. Remember, there's always plenty of free parking. And don't forget to visit our new salad bar. Plots Are Us. Eternal peace at affordable prices.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Are you tired of cut rate? What was it? Like, yeah, mortuary services or whatever. And you got like arms and legs like sticking out of the ground. Yeah.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite ones, I think. I think this one still like makes me laugh when I see it. But then we get to like kind of like the centerpiece parody of this, which is like, it seems like they had to get a Weird Al music video in there. So this is where we get Beverly Hillbillies.
Now looky here, people, listen to my story. A little story about a man named Jed. An old something, that poor mountaineer. They say he barely kept his family fed. Now let me tell you, one day he was shooting. Old Jed was shooting at some food. When all of a sudden, right up from the ground there, well, it came a bubbling crude. All that is, well, maybe you call it black gold, the Texas tea. He gonna move next to Mr. Drysdale and be a Beverly Hillbilly.
Yeah, so this is the mashup of the theme. So he falls asleep watching the old show, The Beverly Hillbillies, and what we get then is this mashup of the famous Money for Nothing Dire Straits music video, which is like some early computer animation, but it's the theme to Beverly Hillbillies. So yeah, Beverly, Beverly, Beverly Hillbillies.
Yeah, and he's so good about like matching his lyrics to the original thing. So like there's an F-bomb in that song, and not the worst one. in the original, but it rhymes with Clampett, sort of. So that little
Clampett got his own cement pond. That little Clampett, he's a millionaire.
Yeah. That's about as good as you could do working that in there. This is similar. He does a parody of the Brady Bunch to the Safety Dance on his first major album in 3D. And so this is the same thing where like part of the song is original lyrics and part of it is like literally somehow the cadence of the theme song to the Beverly Hillbillies fits the cadence of Money for Nothing.
Right.
They must have spent a fortune. I mean, like that computer animation was not cheap to do.
One day he was shooting. Old Jed was shooting at some food when all of a sudden, all right.
Yeah, it's like, again, like a classic 1-for-1 parody, but really well done. And they do all the like. There's a classic Weird Al thing he does where he has he looks like he's playing a guitar, but the neck of the guitar is like rubber. He bends
bendy.
it.
Yeah,
he does that here.
Yeah, no, it's a very famous music video, and they definitely mess with it in some fun ways. I mean, there's basically an early 3D model of Jed Clampett, running around in virtual reality.
Yeah. So he's woken up by Stanley, who asks, "Is there anything more he can do?" And George's like, "Oh, you can go home." He's like, "Oh, do I have to?" This guy will like work. He just loves being a janitor so much. I do love that this thing where he comes in and says, like, he has these like flights of like weird ideas. Stanley does. So he starts like asking George, what do you think would happen if he was like going at the speed of light? Like,
do you think your brain would blow up?
George? Hey, George. I finished polishing all the doorknobs. Is there anything else you want me to do?
No, Stanley, that's okay. It's getting pretty late. Why don't you call it a night?
Do I have to?
Yeah. Go on. I'll see you in the morning.
Okay. I'll see you. George, I was wondering, like if you were traveling through outer space, I mean, like you're going real fast, like the speed of light, and all of a sudden you started screaming, ah! Do you think that your brain would blow up?
Guys, I'm trying to work. Do you mind?
Oh, I don't mind. Go right ahead. Do you mind, George?
So, and we should note that plot-wise, the station is still not doing well. All of these ideas are not saving the station. It's still doing
right. We're still kind of in Act 1.
Yeah.
Right. We haven't gotten to Act 2 where things start to break good. We cut for a minute to Terry at the restaurant. She's with her parents, all by herself for her birthday. She's dressed like Princess Peach.
Yeah, her outfit is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yes, I recall that.
I don't know why she's wearing that, but it's very funny to me that she's got like a tiara on, like literally Princess Peach outfit.
Maybe the bit is maybe it was something that got cut that made it make more sense. But it's also just kind of funny to be stood up and be wearing that outfit.
Yeah, and her dad keeps trying to like, maybe we should order some food now. And her mom is like, nope, we're going to wait.
Yeah.
So Bob comes in. He's got good news and bad news. The bad news is, based on how they're doing, the station will be broke by the end of the week. And the good news is he lied. There's no good news.
There is no good news.
Yeah. But at least he still got Terry until the phone rings as he's about to grab it. When he realizes it's already 2 hours past when he was supposed to meet her. And this is when she breaks it off.
Yeah.
And this then leads to one of, I think, the funniest things in the movie, which is the next episode of Uncle Nutsy's Clubhouse.
Oh, yeah, because he's completely depressed.
Yeah, this is hilarious. I think this is his funniest stuff in the movie. Is he just talks about how horrible life is and how it just constantly kicks you in the teeth. It's so good.
Hey, kids. Where do you want to go? That's right, to Uncle Nutsy's Clubhouse. And boy, oh boy, are we going to have big fun today. We're going to have so much fun. We'll forget about how miserable we are and how much life sucks. And how we're all going to grow old and die someday.
I want to go home.
Shut up, you little weasel. Okay. Right now, I'd like to show you one of my favorite cartoons. It's a sad, depressing story about a pathetic coyote who spends every waking moment of his life in the futile pursuit of a sadistic roadrunner, who mocks him and laughs at him as he's repeatedly crushed and maimed. Hope you enjoy it!
Yeah.
He yells at the kids. And then he talks of, I love the introduction. He's going to show a Wile E. Coyote cartoon. And he talks.
There's a sad, depressing story of a coyote and a sadistic roadrunner who constantly mocks him and taunts him and laughs at him. I hope you enjoy it.
Yeah. Again, I think my favorite Weird Al delivery stuff in the movie is just this moment is so funny to me. So he just walks off stage and is basically, he's done. And Bob's like, well, who'll do the rest of the show? And he says, I don't know. Hey, Stanley, you want to be on TV? Okay. And he wanders off in the general direction of the studio. And this turns from bad to good real quick, because we cut to a bar and by the time George and Bob have made their way to wherever this bar is, everybody is watching U62.
The whole town is watching. Is it Stanley Spadowski's Playhouse? What ultimately is what it becomes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, Stanley takes over the show, and just immediately it takes off. He's a beloved host.
Well, and he gives the inspiring speech about the mop as well.
I want to show you something. I want to show you something. This is my new mop. George, my friend, he gave me this mop. It's a pretty good mop. It's not as good as my first mop. I miss my first mop. But this is still a good mop. Sometimes you just have to take what life gives you, because life is like a mop. And sometimes life gets full of dirt and crud and bugs and hairballs and stuff. You gotta clean it out. You gotta put it in here and rinse it off and start all over again. And sometimes life sticks to the floor so bad. You know, a mop is not good enough. It's not good enough. You gotta get down there like with a toothbrush, you know, and you gotta really scrub. You gotta get it off. You gotta really try to get it off. But if that doesn't work, you can't give up. You gotta stand right up. You gotta run to a window and say, hey, these floors are dirty as hell, and I'm not gonna take it anymore.
Yeah.
They start playing the Battle Hymn of the Republic behind it. You know, as he's saying you got to get in there and scrub, and you just got to keep working at it. And then you say these floors are dirty as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore, which was a parody that went way over my head at age
network,
9.
The network.
Yeah.
And then there's the bar cheer or whatever when he says that.
Yeah,
right?
everyone in the bar is cheering, and by the time they get back to the station, the phones are ringing off the hook.
Right. So basically now the station is taking off, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this moves us into now seeing some of the other stuff that's on the air, and it's the production value is higher, and it's the absurd things Conan the Librarian, which is a great bit.
Yeah. I love that they tell Stanley, hey, you did great. He's like, well, you want to do it again? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, do I still get to be janitor? Sure.
Yeah.
And so, then we see, the new Stanley Spadowski's clubhouse.
On the new U62 or whatever, right? Isn't that kind of the thing? And so,
we're getting there. But first we get, Stanley Spadowski's clubhouse for a minute. And then we see that Bob says they've sold it out for 3 months. And they say, we need a few new shows like this. And now we're going to get, this run of stuff.
Oh, yeah. And he's like, oh, that's good. I've got some ideas. Or
right.
Whatever,
so the first one up is Wheel of Fish.
Today, one of these lucky contestants will win his or her weight in fish right here on Wheel of Fish. Okay, let's play the game. We start with yesterday's winner, Miss Phyllis Weaver. Are you ready, Weaver?
I sure am, Cooney.
Okay, you get over there and spin the Wheel of Fish. Go ahead! Give it a big spin! Come on, red snapper. It's very tasty. Okay, Weaver, listen carefully. You can hold on to your red snapper, or you can go for what's in the box that Hiro-san is bringing down the aisle right now. What's it gonna be?
I'll take the box! The box!
You took the box! Let's see what's in the box! Nothing! Absolutely nothing! Stupid! You're so stupid!
Which I have on my desk right here, a spinning wheel of fish, tchotchke.
Beautiful. I guess when you go in this show, you can win your weight in fish, is what Cooney is giving away.
Yeah, so Cooney, the martial arts instructor from earlier in the film, and see, George looks out for his friends because I guess everybody is fine with being on TV. So Cooney is the host of Wheel of Fish. And so they, goes up there and, she spins, right? The contestant spins the wheel and it's, red snapper. Very tasty. So she could keep the red snapper or go for what's in the box, right? And
right.
It's like everyone's cheering, like, go for the box. And she goes like, all right, I'll go for the box. And so what's in the box? And there's nothing in it. Nothing. Stupid. You're so stupid.
Yeah. His level of like glee is just so infectious. Like, he's such a great character. Like, I kind of wish he was in the movie a little more, but like what you get of him is just like just dead on. It's always funny. After Wheel of Fish, we get Philo's Secrets of the Universe.
Universe. Yeah.
So this is some version of Mr. Wizard. We don't get a lot of this, but he says he's going to make plutonium from common household items. And then we get, I think, one that's much funnier, which is Raoul's Wild Kingdom.
For those of you just joining us, today we're teaching poodles how to fly. Come here, Foofy. Foofy. Are you psyched? Are you ready? Okay. Here we go. Get ready and fly! Oh, man. Sometimes it takes him a little longer to learn how to do it right. Okay, come on. Cheer up. Hey, who's next? Gigi. Oh, man.
Today, we're teaching poodles how to fly.
So he's just like has all these like cages of animals around his apartment, and he's making up all kinds of weird facts. The turtle is nature's suction cup, and he like throws it up on the ceiling.
Yeah, he licks the bottom of it and throws it in the ceiling, and it sticks.
And again, he's literally throwing poodles out the window. There's a pile of dead poodles down at the bottom of his apartment complex. Yeah. My favorite bit in here is that the George and Bob turn to each other and goes like, where did you find this guy? And he's like, me, I thought you hired him.
Yeah.
So we get a quick moment of Terry listening to her voicemail, which is just George wailing and begging for her to take him back. And now we get to Fletcher.
I left a few of those in my time.
Yep. Fletcher enjoying Father's Day. And this is where he says he wanted a Rolex, and he's very upset that his son did not buy him a Rolex.
Richard, you shouldn't have.
Happy Father's Day, Dad.
What is this piece of crap? I thought I told you I wanted a Rolex! A Rolex! What?
Sir?
What do you want?
Just thought I ought to tell you, sir, there's a lot of talk on the street about this Channel 62. They're starting to get a pretty strong following.
Excuse me? Did you say Channel 62?
Uh-huh.
Do I have to remind you that we are a network affiliate? And we're in competition with other networks, not with a bunch of punks broadcasting out of a closet? But, do you enjoy wasting my time? Get out of my office! And take that ridiculous thing off.
and he's upset to learn that U-62 is gathering steam, at which point he gets very upset at his staff, and again, as you said before, tells them to take that ridiculous thing off.
This is where that happens.
That's where that happens. So now we get to like full-blown, like Stanley Spadowski's clubhouse is a fucking party. Like he comes in on that like little like tow truck thing.
Yeah. And, yeah. You found, is this the marble in the oatmeal?
Yeah, this is like full, like it's a party. Like Stanley Spadowski's clubhouse is rocking.
Joe Miller, you just found the marble in the oatmeal. You're a lucky little boy, because you know why? You get to drink from the fire hose! Okay, you ready? Open wide! Joe Miller, let's hear for him!
Yeah, they played this. I forget what the name. This track has a name. It's on the UHF soundtrack. Like it's like it's like this is a huge thing. Yeah, it's just lights, the name and lights and everything, and yeah, the bit is it's just all this weird shit's going on, and these kids are in a sandbox filled with oatmeal.
Oh no, I want to correct you on this. It's one kid and like two elderly people in the pile of oatmeal.
So this kid finds the marble in the oatmeal, and so the prize is you get to drink from the fire hose. Just blasts him off of a toy horse or whatever.
Yeah, it's really great. So now we get one more bit with Raoul, just because I think they couldn't use him for just one scene, but he is receiving a delivery of various animals, including 3 badgers.
Badgers? We don't need no stinking badgers.
Again, I had not seen the Treasure of the Sierra Madre when I saw this, but I knew it was a thing because eventually I think they do a riff on this in City Slickers as well, like a couple of years later. And I was like, oh, okay, this must be a thing now because they're quoting. I don't think I saw the Treasure of the Sierra Madre until I was like in my 30s. But
yeah, like most kids that were 8 or 9 years old, you had not seen the Treasure of the Sierra Madre. That makes sense.
But it's a great movie. Highly recommend it. All right, so yeah, Terry comes home to find all of the flowers in the world, just all over.
Oh yeah, just like a giant teddy bear, all sorts of weird shit.
Yeah. And now we get Conan the Librarian.
Never before in the history of motion pictures has there been a screen presence so commanding, so powerful, so deadly. He's Conan the Librarian.
Can you tell me where I can find a book on astronomy?
Don't you know the Dewey Decimal System?
Conan the Librarian.
I'm sorry. These books are a little overdue.
Conan the Librarian. Tonight, only on U62.
Don't you know Dewey Decimal System?
I love that these things, like Weird Al's really good at like knowing how to target this joke, because like the joke is really stupid. You just replaced barbarian with librarian because those two words sound the same. But he knows like this joke doesn't have enough gas in the tank to go more than like 38 seconds or whatever they like.
It's just a commercial. Yeah. It's just and like he cuts the guy. It's in like literal half with his sword and stuff. It's all very silly.
Yeah. After this, we cut back from this commercial to Stanley. He's on the air. He's eating watermelon.
My favorite line from the movie. This is a good watermelon. Tastes like poop. I mean, I don't fully understand that moment.
Every watermelon I've ever eaten tastes exactly the same. I don't know how.
This is a good watermelon. It tastes like poop.
And so, yeah, we just sort of like fade from him doing his like shtick to George and Bob trying to figure out their lineup. They got to schedule the Wonderful World of Phlegm in there somewhere. And Bob gets the ratings that shows that they're not just doing well, they're number one. They have
number one.
They have 3 shows in the top 5, and they're like super excited. And this is where we get a whole bunch of stuff. So we go to this. This is the new U62 commercial. So we start off with was it Mike and Spike, which is like kind of a workout aerobics kind of show. We get Bowling for Burgers, Strip Solitaire, Practical Jokes and Bloopers, which is like with like one of their cameramen is like the host.
He just like I think he just like trips an old lady and like shrugs. That's the practical joke.
Yeah, and like Noodles is the host of Strip Solitaire, so like they're using their people for everything. And then finally Celebrity Mud Wrestling with Mikhail Gorbachev.
Great.
I can't remember if he's listed in the credits as like playing himself or something. There's something funny with Mikhail Gorbachev in the credits.
Is this also? Do we have the updated town talk?
That's coming a little later too.
Yeah.
So now we get to Fletcher dressing down the troops, and so he demands to know who owns that U62 station. Cut to Harvey in the pool, getting a call from Big Louie, who it informs him that unfortunately this time his gambling did not go so well, and he owes Big Louie $75,000 in 2 days. And now he gets a call. This is what he unscrews his hand and puts on the meat cleaver. So we know Big Louie means business. But then Harvey gets the call from Fletcher. And so we cut to George is just he's sitting at his desk when all of a sudden like a tape measure comes into frame. And Fletcher has come by to just take measurements of this studio he believes is going to be his in 2 days. And I think he's. I love this that they kind of get into like the legalities of it. Like, hey, you can't own 2 TV stations in the same town. It's like, oh well, I'll just turn it into a parking lot.
Right.
Yep. So another fun detail in here is like I love that like Stanley is like kind of in the background, but then like the second he sees RJ Fletcher, he like kind of cartoonishly like stumbles and like freaks out and runs out of the room.
Yeah,
I like that. So we get Harvey is about to leave to go close this business deal with Fletcher when the phone rings and it's George calling his aunt, and she's lets off screen she lets Uncle Harvey know that like he can't do this.
Right. So basically, George gets a chance to raise the money. He has like how long?
2 days.
He has 2 days to come up with $75,000 to pay off Uncle Harvey's debt.
Correct. To stave off the sale to Fletcher. Philo overhears kind of the team from U62 talking about what they're going to do, and one of the things they say is, God, we got to keep an eye on Fletcher. We know he's behind this somehow. So while we see this shot of Fletcher just putting cash in a briefcase, we also get this shot of like Philo secretly installing a camera in Fletcher's office, which will be super important later. And so, yeah, Fletcher goes to greet Harvey at the airport, and where Harvey tells him about, I'm not selling just yet. I promised I'd give my nephew 2 days to come up with the money, but don't worry, he won't do it. He won't be able to. Favorite funny detail in this scene is he goes like, hey, you want some peanuts? And like, it's not just like one bag of airline peanuts. He's got like 2 fistfuls of just little bags of like peanuts. It's very just weird of like, hey, tycoon, you need some peanuts?
Yeah, just odd.
Just odd stuff. They don't miss a moment. But now we get to the new and improved town talk.
George Newman. He starts where the others stop.
Sex with furniture. What do you think?
The world watched in amazement as he unlocked the mysteries of Al Capone's glove compartment.
Uh-huh. Road maps!
He blew the lid off Satanism.
Look, all I was trying to say...
Oh, shut up, you pinhead! You make me sick!
Sometimes shocking, always controversial, he deals with topics that the other talk shows are afraid to touch. He pries, he pokes, he digs deep. He gets the answers, he gets the facts, and most of all, he gets the ratings.
Lesbian Nazi hookers abducted by UFOs and forced into weight loss programs. All this week on Town Talk.
Which is a riff on like Geraldo Rivera or whatever, you know. It's like those Donahue, those like talk shows of the '80s. So it's like much higher production value, you know. And the bit, you know, those things were and Jerry Springer and stuff. You know, you see, you have like these people in the background that clearly are there to have a fight. There's like a Klansman and like I forget who else is in the background.
There's like a little like Girl Scout. There's a Jason Voorhees, basically.
Yeah, Girl Scout, Jason Voorhees, a Klansman. Like you're like, what was the topic? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the topic, apparently, lesbian Nazi hookers abducted by UFOs and forced into weight loss programs.
And forced into weight loss programs.
Weird Al has at least 2 songs that are like this joke. He's got a song called
very complicated. Yeah.
Yeah. He's got a song called Talk Soup, which is kind of all that kind of a bit. And he's got another one, I think it's just called Jerry Springer, which is a parody of 1 Week by the Bare Naked Ladies, which is, and he's also got Midnight Star, which is about like print tabloids.
A tabloid. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a well he's gone to a few times.
You can read all about it in the weekly Midnight Star.
So Stanley finds George. He's looking bummed. He asks, "Is there something I can do to help?" He goes, "Well, do you have $75,000?" And he like he actually like sincerely checks his wallet for a minute, and he was like, "Oh no." But they hit on the idea of doing a telethon, and so the U62 telethon is on the air to raise the money. But they're not just like begging for money; they're actually selling shares in the station so that like the community will have a stake in it, which is kind of like sweet.
Mm-hmm.
One other detail about this scene is I believe this is the first time in the movie where you see George in like it's just like Weird Al, like he's wearing a Hawaiian shirt, like he's in the actual like Weird Al get up. Normally George he's not wearing like literal like, hey, it's Weird Al's persona outfit. So one thing that occurred to me, so like Fletcher's watching this, he's thinking about what he's going to do. Why doesn't Fletcher just buy all the shares?
Oh no! Are you saying UHF has a plot hole?
Oh no! I found a plot hole. Yeah, he could just buy all the shares and go, all right, well, problem solved. Thanks.
But they don't have to give him the shares, do they?
I think he doesn't have to say it's him. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
But they decide what they're going to do is they're going to pay Stanley a visit because he's too popular. He's helping them drum up all of this cash.
Right. So they kidnap Stanley.
You're doing great, Stanley. Now remember, you gotta pace yourself. You got a long way to go before tomorrow night.
Yeah, I can do it, George. I can do it.
All right. Now, just take it easy. Is there anything I can get you?
Some Play-Doh.
Okay.
No, George. Get me some bubbles, some real big bubbles.
I'll see what I can do.
Who is it?
Got a pizza here for Mr. Stanley Spadowski.
Pizza? For me? Oh, boy. I like peppers. I love anchovies, because they're real fishy. And sometimes I just like to get a pizza with nothing on it but anchovies. No peppers or olives or onions, just anchovies, because they're good.
So, how are we gonna kill him?
No. The boss just wants us to keep him on ice for a while. Easy.
Hey, wait a minute. You guys aren't from the pizza place?
Yeah, I love this scene, but right just before they kidnap him, like he comes off stage and they're like, "Hey, anything we can get you, Stanley? You're doing great out there." And he goes, Play-Doh. No. Bubbles. I want real big bubbles." Michael Richards just sells the shit out of this. It's so funny to me.
Yeah.
As you said before, this could be problematic. Like it's very tricky to play like a duh cartoon idiot without like waiting until like, I don't know, is he like neurodivergent?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting question of like, does it? I think it holds up, but it's right on the line. You know, it's so silly. It's more silly than mean. I think that's why it escapes being too cringy, I think. But I mean, I can't speak for everybody.
It's very cartoonish. Like it's so, again, yeah, it is so cartoonish that it is, you don't have to take it seriously. You can kind of go like, all right, he's not, if the movie were somehow played more dramatically, it would be a problem. But because everybody's a cartoon in this, you can just sort of accept it, I think.
Sure.
But yes, there's a knock at the door. It's supposedly a pizza for Stanley, and he loves pizza, but then he's grabbed. Cut to him in the back of the car, blindfolded, still talking about how much he loves peppers and anchovies and stuff. Eventually he figures out.
That's later, I guess.
Yeah, but like I love that he's just, for this next segment of the movie where he's kidnapped, his whole purpose in life is just to unintentionally annoy the living shit out of his kidnappers.
Yeah, these like criminals that they've gotten to kidnap them. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because what local network affiliate wouldn't have a group of goons on the payroll to do this stuff?
Well, these are the sort of narrative shortcuts that make this movie fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I love. Hey, you guys aren't from the pizza place. It takes them a long time to get there, and definitely like whenever Stanley is not part of the telethon, like it's foundering a bit, and like we cut to like what are they showing if they don't have Stanley? And there's this bit of these two dudes going,
yeah,
and
it's
like
very weird.
To me, it's like, I know there's a context for it. I went and looked it up. Like you can see it, like I don't know if it's a deleted scene or you can go find like a clip of these guys and what their act was. It definitely like makes more sense in context when you're not seeing, I don't know, literally 2.5 seconds of it. But there's something much funnier to me of like, I don't know what this is, and I can't conceive of the context that would make
We're putting those guys on. Yeah.
Makes sense. So we cut back. So Bob is pretty convinced that Fletcher's behind the kidnapping. Pam's trying to figure out what she can do to stall. And we cut back to the goons playing poker at the Channel 8 warehouse. And Stanley is basically playing blind I Spy. I'm thinking of something orange.
Something orange. It's an orange.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm thinking of something orange. Something orange. Orange. You give up? It's an orange. Get it? It's fun, huh? Okay, now I'm thinking of something blue. Something blue.
Let me kill him. Please, let me kill him.
Dun 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 dun. Hey! What? 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 Whoa! What? Don't you like bonanza?
And so they want to kill him, and they lock him up. They put him in like a shipping container or something, whatever. Somewhere in the back, they lock him up to try and control that. We got back. There's yodeling upside down on the telethon, and this is where we get the commercial for Gandhi 2.
Next week on U62, he's back, and this time he's mad. Gandhi 2. No more Mr. Passive Resistance. He's out to kick some butt. This is one bad mother you don't want to mess with.
Don't move, lame boy.
He's a one-man wrecking crew. But he also knows how to party.
Give me a steak, medium rare.
Hey, Baldy!
There is only one law. His law. Gandhi 2.
No more Mr. Passive Resistance. He's out to kick some butt. Yeah, and he's like driving a sports car, and he has models on each arm.
He's eating beef.
Yeah. Give me a steak, medium rare.
Yeah. Yes, this is brownface, but
because it is Weird Al playing him, right?
No, it's actually
it's not.
Levy. I forget his first name, but so Levy, he's the director, he's the co-writer. He was Weird Al's collaborator, so he made himself Gandhi for this.
Okay.
Again, so silly and ridiculous. I kind of don't think I mean, if you're Indian and this bothers you, I I can't challenge that.
I think you've got a lot of other things that are probably bothering you first.
Yeah,
sure.
this is so beyond cartoonishly silly. Like, and it's
Fortunately, no one is
laughs.
watching UHF even now, so it's fine.
Yeah. That is Gandhi too. I love that. Like the music behind this is so like it's almost Shaft.
Well, yeah, that's what it is. It's like it's as if Gandhi was Shaft, kind of.
Right.
That's sort of the deal.
And so Fletcher walks into the building, but before he gets in, oh God, I somehow skipped over one of my favorite gags in the whole movie. I think it's the City Hall scene where Noodles gets tripped up, but they have this character who is like a homeless person.
Oh yeah.
He's sitting on a
change. You got change.
Yeah. So the first scene, I just wanted to mention this because it's really funny. He's sitting on a park bench with someone who's blind, trying to help the blind guy solve the Rubik's Cube, and he just keeps twiddling. He goes, "Is this it? Nope. Is this it? Nope." But now he's here in front of the building, as you said, begging for change, and R.J. Fletcher gives him a penny, and he is over the moon to receive this penny, disproportionately happy over one penny.
Wow, thanks, mister. Yeah. And you're like, you at the time just think he's nuts.
Yeah, they don't give you any reason to think this is going to be plot important. So RJ goes into the building. He is met by Terry, who's there to basically plead on George's behalf. And this is where he tells her, "This town means about as much to me as a festering bowl of dog snot." Which will become...
If you took the combined IQ, you might have enough intelligence to tie your shoe. If you didn't drool all over yourself first.
Yeah, and I didn't... in my head, like, he says the whole thing here. He actually doesn't. We only hear the festering bowl of dog snot part, and it cuts away. We'll see what else
and
he
then
said.
Later on, yeah.
But
because Philo is surreptitiously recording all of this.
Yes, yeah. So we cut to more kind of just funny shit at the warehouse. So Stanley's blindfold fell off, and he's still like just constantly babbling. My shirt glows in the dark, and finally they can't take it anymore. So they open the door to where they have him confined to confront him. But when they do that, Stanley looks and sees his mop in the background, which causes him to hulk out.
It gives him the strength to break his bonds.
And we get like a comedy like chase scene as they
I mean, it's really, really funny. Like where he's like, at one point he's waving the mop and they're doing lightsaber sounds. Like,
yeah, he grabs like a staple gun and he's like just sort of blind firing it behind him. And so the goon has like, for the rest of the movie, has like, I don't know, 12 staples on one side of his face.
Which is not how staple guns work, but pretty funny.
Still funny. Yeah, and there's a lot of just like, man, Michael Richards like was just made of rubber. Like just the way his body moves as he's like, kind of jumping around and trying to evade these guys. Like it's really some good physical comedy. But he is he's ultimately cornered in Fletcher's office, which is important because Philo sees that on his camera, and he runs to tell George that they know where Stanley is, that he's been captured at Channel 8. And George says he's going to handle this, which leads to our second, like, giant parody of the movie, which is Rambo.
Yeah, I mean, it's really like First Blood Part 2. It's very, he's got the fake muscles and everything. He's going to go rescue Stanley. Great, another great bit. You should look up Weird Al Rambo.
Yeah, and again, I can't play clips of this really because it's wordless again, which is interesting that both of these, this one and the Raiders one, again, very little.
Yeah, they're
dialogue.
very Looney Tunes, sight gag driven stuff. Yeah.
And this one, and I don't know Rambo that well, but I don't believe this isn't quite as 1-to-1 as the Raiders one is, where it's literally like beat for beat the cold open of Raiders. This is more like just general Rambo like concepts. Like he infiltrates the enemy camp to rescue Stanley.
I think in Rambo 3, he's also rescuing like Colonel Troutman or whatever. So I think there might be a little bit of Rambo 3 here, which would have been a pretty recent film if, at this point. But yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any favorite like sight gags in this segment?
I mean, first of all, it's the same bad guy a couple of times. It's like a soldier shooting at him. I know that. He just like shooting at him and it's not hitting him. I know that he has the explosive arrow that he fires at the guy like from like inches away from him, right, or something.
Yeah,
like
it just turns into a pink mist.
Yeah, it's just absurd. All that stuff is really great. I mean, I think my favorite one that I remember is there's a bunch of guys on a ridge all shooting at him or whatever. So he takes a machine gun and fires at them, and they all fall down at the exact same time.
Yeah, he just kind of swings the gun left to right or whatever as he's.
And then they all just go, ah!
He at one point there's like a soldier who you think is dead, fires a gun at him. He catches the bullet in his teeth. Then he grinds up the bullet and then like fires out of his mouth. Like
it's really silly. And then I think when he goes and rescues Stanley, it's just there's no lock on the gate, right? Doesn't he just kind of open the latch and let him out?
Yeah. And they get in the helicopter, and at one point, and so like there's a second helicopter piloted by Fletcher, who he just goes like, "Ugh," and then pushes a button and the missile blows it up. And then for no reason he just keeps going, "Ugh," and then firing the button and like monuments,
Eiffel Tower,
the Colosseum,
blowing
and
up,
Rome,
just blowing up everything. It's very absurd.
Which ends with then George like bursting into the Channel 8 office,
and he goes, "Urgh!"
and they'll just look at him like, "What are you?" And he does the "I'm your worst nightmare" line,
and they all draw their guns on him. And
yep, and then fortunately they are rescued by a noise from the supplies closet.
You know, you really botched things up. If you hadn't stuck your face in our business, we'd all be going home real soon. But now, I'm gonna have to take you and your friend on a commission for good.
Red rum! Red rum!
What was that?
Hold on. Thought I heard something.
What?
I don't know. I just thought.
Supplies! Put your back!
Oh, it's a funny gag. I'm sorry. It's funny.
I think
So,
because, I mean, it's racist to have a bunch of Asian guys be unable to pronounce the letter L.
So they open the door to the supplies closet, and the karate guys are in there, and they go supplies, and then kick the asses of the mobsters. Or whatever.
Yeah, I think it kind of works because you have Getty Watanabe in on the joke. They're so like it's I feel like they're making the joke and they're so excited.
I mean, we're not qualified to say whether it works or not, but I still think it's funny. Yeah. And we should note that the Italian American criminal thing isn't exactly racially sensitive either.
No,
it's a lot of stereotypes.
Yeah, the goons.
Yeah. I mean, I think. Again, I can't tell you if you're going to be offended by this or not. That's up to you. But I will say that Weird Al is parodying things. It is a cartoon. It is these broad strokes. It is playing off of not just stereotypes about races, but just stereotypes about everything. You know what I mean? Like it's all just like, it's very cartoon logic, the whole movie.
Right. And it's so not mean-spirited too. Like there's something like joyful about it.
I would say, and we can maybe talk more about this at the end, where we kind of talk about the enduring legacy of UHF, a phrase that's never been said, but it is sweet. There is a sweet tone to this movie, and it is about community. It is a movie about taking care of these people that society has largely shunned. So there is a sweetness to it.
Yeah. And I think that moment here, right after the supplies moment, like we basically cut right to like triumphant music as they like caravan back to the station.
So I have this on my phone, and you can replace this with the actual file for our listeners. But like when Trump was defeated in 2020 due to election fraud. No, I'm kidding. I had this ready to go because it's music you can't find anywhere, and it is incredibly triumphant. Sound of music. This is when they're taking Stanley back. Wait for it. Right? This is when they're rolling up. This is what's happening. Because it stops. All right, so it stops a bit. I know the look on your face like that comes later, but no, it actually is when they're pulling up with Stanley.
Oh no, I just couldn't hear it as you were through our technology. Okay, yeah. But I know this music you're talking about.
Yeah, well, I can give you the file if you want to play it, but like because I pulled it. And like literally, I have the whole like scene in there. Like I've used it as my alarm in the morning before. Anyway, okay, yeah. So they're rolling up to this really triumphant, awesome music,
right? And so Fletcher comes back to. It's a very quick shot, but it's very funny to find the aftermath of this because we don't actually see Cooney and the guys kick all the asses. We just hear some punching and kicking, in a blackout. So yeah, he comes in and like the way their bodies are just like like ragdoll strewn across the office, and all the furniture is upended. Like it's a really funny little like tableau, as like quick as it is. So Stanley takes the stage to talk about the potato of injustice. And he can't
look at it. You gotta look it in the eye.
Yeah, he says, I can't hear you, and he's trying to get him to cheer. And of course, the gag being, he has earplugs in. Super like Weird Al dad joke.
I remember him saying like, I know a lot of you like to wait till the last minute. This is it.
Yeah,
this is the last minute.
I've used that GIF before.
They haven't quite hit the target goal yet.
They're close.
They're very close.
They're within $2,000 of what they need. So we cut to a R.J. Fletcher special report where he's going to try and denigrate what's going on at U62 and tell people the real hard truth. But Philo cuts in the footage of him telling Terry what he really thinks of the town, at which point he just slinks off.
And now, a special report from the owner and general manager of Channel 8, R.J. Fletcher.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I come before you tonight to speak on a matter which is of grave concern to us all. I want to show you how one small television station can single-handedly disrupt and destroy the moral fiber of an entire community. The following may upset you, it may even shock you. But I feel it is my duty as a concerned citizen to bring you this important message. This community means about as much to me as a festering bowl of dog snot. You think I care about the pea-brained yokels of this town? If you took their combined IQ and multiplied it by 100, you might have enough intelligence to tie your shoe. If you didn't drool all over yourself first. I can't stand those sniveling maggots. They make me want to puke. But there is one good thing about broadcasting to a town full of mindless sheep. I always know I've got them exactly where I want them.
Oh, right. Yeah. So this is when, it patches in and he's, sitting there listening to what he'd said, and now everyone in town has seen it.
Right. And this feels quaint to me in the
in the Trump era. Yeah. Like, that this could destroy a person.
You were caught on footage saying and doing horrible things, and that it would end your career.
Yeah. A plot point that probably wouldn't work today.
No.
Yeah.
So we're back outdoor at the telethon, and Terry finds George, and she says, he says, I thought you never wanted to see me again. And she says, well, whatever happens, she's very proud of him for what he's accomplished. And Uncle Harvey is there and is very concerned about how punctual Big Louie is. Fletcher works his way through the crowd. He pulls the plug and starts yammering at the crowd.
And he could give Uncle Harvey the money, but no. He has a few things he wants to say first.
Right. And while he's doing that, Big Louie's big black limousine pulls up, and the homeless person approaches Weird Al and says, hey, do you have any more of those shares? I'd like to buy $2,000 worth of shares. And he just hands him the money, keep the change. And so George looks up at RJ, who's still yammering away, and just goes, shit, I got 73,000. I got the other two. I'm going to go pay Big Louie, which he does. And the contract is signed. The station is ours. And again, that music kicks in and fireworks go off.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. You can't do this. We had an agreement, remember? An oral contract. I'll sue.
Blow it out your ears, scuzzbag.
R.J. Fletcher,
So what if I am?
I'm John Vickers, FCC. I've noticed that your station is late in filing its license renewal this year. Now, normally this kind of violation is punishable by a stiff fine, but I've been watching you lately. You made a big impression on me. Yeah, I'm revoking your license. Effective immediately, you're off the air.
Hi, Pamela Finkelstein here, coming to you with the most incredible turn of events. Not only has the once powerful corporate broadcasting giant been thoroughly crushed and defeated, but now, as luck would have it, they've been completely stripped of their license by the FCC! Oh, well, what do you have to say about it, you worthless, slobbering pig?
And now we get to some comeback. Well-deserved, or payback, I should say, for Fletcher and company.
Right, because RJ has missed out on his chance to destroy the station. He finds out that the FCC is there.
They pull his license.
Yeah, like I've been watching your program. Made a big impression on me. I'm revoking your license immediately. Effective immediately.
Yeah, I think he says something like, "Well, normally they're late in paying some fee," and he says, "Well, normally we would just fine you for this, but yeah, I've been watching what you've been saying, so I'm pulling your licensing agreement. You're off the air."
This is where Noodles gets to trip the other guy, the guy who tripped him, the son of RJ, I think.
Right.
And so he gets his payback there.
Yeah, did I do that? Oopsie. So George thanks Philo for his work, and he says, "Well, my work on this planet is complete, and I must return to my home on Zarkon." And he large marges away.
Yeah, his face does a whole claymation routine, and George doesn't see him apparate into a beam of light. Yes,
yeah,
and disappear.
Very weird bit, but very funny to me. And still, I think that it's as a kid, it scared me a little bit, only because of its similarity to the large Marge bit, which is much more terrifying.
Scarring, yes, for many kids.
Yep.
And and then we had then again, I will give you the file, because in the file it is that sweet scene between Stanley and George gives Stanley a trophy, and it's very. I don't know, something's wrong with me, because I legitimately find this moving,
I agree.
World's greatest janitor and TV star. It's sweet.
Stanley, congratulations, you really pulled us through.
Hey, George, I want you to know that I'm mighty proud to be a part of your team.
Well, I'm mighty proud of you too, Stanley. In fact, I'd like to present you with a small token of my gratitude.
A trophy? That's me? Stanley, world's greatest janitor and TV star. Oh, George, never had anybody give me a trophy before. It's big. George, you're my best friend in the whole world. I'm gonna go show everybody right now.
It is really sweet. It kind of works because, again, you look at a guy like Stanley, who's got so little going for him, and he's been transformed into a celebrity because he's joyful. There's something kind of that moment actually does really work. I think you're right. It is preceded by another very effective moment, because if they hadn't given you enough payback for Fletcher, an old lady just comes up and knees him in the balls. It's the last time you see him.
Well, that was a requirement in any 80s comedy, and an old lady had to knee somebody in the balls.
Yep. And this is when we find out what happened with the penny, because as he's reeling from being kicked in the balls, the homeless person comes up and thanks him, because that penny was in fact an extremely rare coin.
Yeah.
And he got a bunch of shares.
Double die Denver mint penny.
Yep.
It was worth a bundle or whatever.
Yeah. He got a bunch of shares and a Rolex.
Yeah, real neat watch. It's a Rolex. Mm-hmm. Yeah, perfect.
Yep.
It's a perfect script. Everything comes back.
That's right. Very tight. And so we get the last scene of Terry and George saying she wants to be in one of his dreams, which becomes the parody of Gone with the Wind.
Gone with the Wind, yes.
And
from now on, you'll be in all of them.
Yep. And they kiss after the tomorrow's another day line, and we get the UHF theme kicking in. And there's a lot of great songs on the UHF soundtrack album, very few of which actually appear in the movie. It's just a bunch of extra fun Weird Al material. And on this album are in fact two of my kids' personal favorites. I would not be remiss, Celeste. I'm sorry, I'll start with Ben. Ben really loves Spam, which is a direct parody of REM's Stand.
And dun, 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 dun. Yeah.
Love that one. And then Celeste really likes The Biggest Ball of Twine in Minnesota.
Yeah. That's a good one. We got to hear him do that one live.
Yep.
And that one I don't believe. I mean, there might be some inspiration for it from other artists, but that one feels pretty much just like a Weird Al original, that song.
Yeah, there's nothing about it that like screams, oh, he's doing such and such. Yeah.
If I recall, though, the lines in the UHF theme, what is it? Don't worry about your laundry, forget about your job, just yank up or turn up the volume and yank off the knob or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause we got it all on UHF.
Don't change that channel.
I think the music video. I think the music video has him like in kind of a Prince outfit at some point, if I recall.
I haven't seen that. I do love the iconography of the poster or the cover art for them, which is it's just Weird Al's face, but like a drawing with these instead of his glasses are replaced with like the classic TV test pattern with like lightning all around it. It's
very cool.
It is a cool design.
So we already kind of touched on this, but I think it's worth saying again. Weird Al is he's got an enduring legacy. We loved him as kids, and he's often said never more popular than he is now. With people, but I think one of the reasons that he's still viable is not just his talent, but I just think he's a genuinely sweet guy, and this movie really has that tone to it, and I think that is why I still really I'll put it on and enjoy it on the level of the characters and their relationships with each other, because it's very, very sweet.
Yeah, it's a really tricky thing to do. I think comedy tends to be, it's easy to go negative, it's easy to go dark, and it's much harder. Not only is Weird Al stuff pretty squeaky clean for the most part, he somehow is squeaky clean, a lot of dad joke type stuff. It's nerdy, and yet he's able to always have his finger on the pulse. Like we talked about all these different parodies in there. These parodies still feel fairly fresh, even though the things they're parodying are pretty old now. He's really good at singling out this thing will be around for a long time. So I'm not going to...
Right, because everyone still knows Rambo or Rambo-like movies.
Right, or Indiana Jones, right?
Yeah.
All that stuff. He's really good at just knowing, what's the right thing to make fun of here that will, people will still recognize this 30 years from now and laugh.
Yeah.
But as you said, incredibly good-natured, right?
Yeah, but you bring up a good point. It's really easy to do a mean-spirited comedy.
Especially parodies.
Yeah, right, because you could be mocking. And his parodies are largely dad jokes and sort of love letters.
Yeah, and the nice thing about this is as much as the parodies are really fun, I think a lot of the funniest stuff in the movie, honestly, is the stuff that's not the parodies.
It would work without the parodies. This movie would still be funny and it would still hold together. It'd be a lot shorter.
But I think by far the funniest stuff, pound for pound, is probably Michael Richards and Kevin McCarthy, who are not involved in any of the parodies, really.
Yeah. That's a fair point.
Yeah.
And it's a great ensemble movie. Just a lot of really fun side characters.
Well, but I'm really glad we spent the time to talk about this. We talk about this movie enough already as it is, but now we've got it locked in in a recording.
For the ages.
So, yeah, before we go, anything you want to plug?
Well, I've been on a few times and I've talked about mind-body stuff, and I just want to give an update. I'm doing a lot better, with that, because I've been dealing with a chronic pain issue for a long time, and I just want to point that out again to anybody who's looking for resources in that space. You have sort of unexplained strange symptoms. It's all over my Instagram anyway. Nervous system regulation. The idea that your nervous system can get out of whack, and you can get a lot of stuff like pain and stuff from that. And often that's the case, even though you're feeling it in, say, your legs or you're having headaches or whatever. It's not necessarily a problem with your legs or your head. And I've just done so much better with all of that stuff by learning to take care of myself and get sleep and, emotional regulation, being aware of when I'm activated and stuff. So if I were to promote anything right now, it would just be, that mental health is physical health. And if you have weird stuff, look into it, because you can get better.
Well, I'll plug some more quick concrete stuff for you. Then I'll just mention, if you're in the LA area, go to the Inkwell, where Dan is a KJ.
That's right. If you like karaoke, Monday nights at the Inkwell, I'll be very happy that we're promoting this at the Inkwell Tavern in Burbank. We start at 8:00. Best karaoke in town.
Also, I will happily promote our old show. Go listen to A Podcast But Evil. That was a lot of fun. Those episodes are still up. They're still evergreen, and had a lot of fun making those with you, bud. So
absolutely.
I also want to, so a quick admin here. If you want to get in touch with us, we are on all of the major social networks, of course, except Truth, because fuck that. We're on.
Well, that's not a major social network. I think that would be the reason.
No, we're on Facebook. No, we're on the maybe slightly less white supremacist network known as Twitter. So we're
right? X.
Yeah,
X.
So Facebook, Twitter, Threads, Instagram, BlueSky, and TikTok. So you can find us in all those places and reach out to us there if you have thoughts on our recent episodes, which, let's see, going back, our most recent ones were the Thomas Crown Affair. Before that, Three Ninjas. Before that, South Park Bigger, Longer, and Uncut. And before that, our two-parter on 90s movies. Coming up next is Guns N' Roses, which is, I've already recorded that one. That was a lot of fun. And then after that, I believe next up in the queue is Super Mario 64, followed by Predator. So I've got a lot of fun stuff coming your way. So
Predator.
You seen that movie?
What's called Predator? Hey, just a quick question. Thomas Crown Affair, was that an Amy pick?
It was not. It was Tanya and Ryan. Really love that one.
Okay. Because I got to say, women love the Thomas Crown Affair. That is a very, sexy woman movie, for women.
I don't know, man.
Sexy movie
Renee Russo is the one doing all the nudity in that, so it ain't so bad for dudes either.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just the way, it's basically this fantasy of you meet a really rich guy who is all about you and is flies you around the world and you eat strawberries and have sex. It's just that's what that movie is to me.
Yeah, I'd take it. Sounds good. It was
at this point in my life, I'm ready for that.
Yeah. Still a great movie. I really enjoyed revisiting that one.
I'm not saying it's not a great movie. I'm just saying that movie is catnip for girls.
Oh yeah,
that's all.
Totally. I can see why. So yep, that's our recent spate. That's what's coming up next. So, Dan, thanks again for doing this. It was a lot of fun. Love having you on anytime you're here.
Thanks for having me, buddy.
All right, so until next time, that is one more entry in the Nostalgium Arcanum. Now say hello to 19-year-old me and Weird Al.
Hello?
Is this Doug?
This is.
Hey, it's Al Yankovic.
Hi. Well, this is going to be an interview for the UCLA Daily Bruin.
Okay.
And it's going to be in the humor column, so there's no need to take anything I say seriously or give me a straight answer at all.
Okay.
I guess I'm going to start off with some questions about your childhood, I guess.
All right.
Do you have any did you have any recurring dreams as a kid?
Well, the only dreams that I would have would revolve around me, flying about 3 feet off the ground, and I'd be surrounded by kiwis and bunny rabbits. I have no idea what that means.
When did you first realize that you were funny?
It was about half an hour ago. I always suspected it, but I didn't really realize it until then.
Were you a performer when you were a kid? School plays, or just, doing sort of shows in your living room for your family, that kind of thing?
I got to play accordion for my cousin's wedding. That was my first real professional gig, and it was a huge hit. I knew then that I had a career ahead of me.
Are there any world events which helped to shape your sense of humor?
Probably the Hindenburg crashing.
How did your parents feel when you first came out as weird?
I think nobody was more surprised than they were.
You were a valedictorian of your high school. What did you talk about in your speech?
I talked about how the polar ice caps were going to melt and drown us all, and we were all going to die. And I ran from the podium yelling and screaming. And I think I made an impression on the gathered masses.
I want to talk a little bit about the songwriting, how you go about doing it. There's a lot of songs which you could obviously choose to parody. How do you choose which ones you want to parody?
Basically, I tape a Billboard magazine up to a dartboard, and I just throw darts at it until I feel like I've got an album worth of material.
In your mind, what makes a good parody?
Basically something that a good candidate for parody is something that's been played about a million times on MTV and on radio, and you're maybe getting just a little tired of hearing it. And that's when I come into action and do my duty.
What did you do to celebrate your first Grammy?
I had the Grammy affixed to my forehead with wood screws and walked around with it for a couple weeks.
let's see, you said in a little thing in Rolling Stone magazine a couple weeks ago that one of your favorite songs was Hobo Humpin' Slobo Babe by Whale.
That's right.
Could you tell us why?
I have no idea why. I saw the video for that, and it just did something to my central nervous system. Whenever I hear that song, I just start going to spasms and start banging into things. So I guess that's a good thing.
I have here the cover of the Hooked on Polka single as it was released in Japan. And it's this cartoon of you with maniacal red eyes. Your teeth are melting out of one side of your mouth. There's two springy hands coming out of your neck, one of which is holding a fire-breathing duck, and a plethora of other strange things. Knowing this is how the Japanese see you, how does that make you feel?
Yeah, over in Japan, I'm referred to as man with melting teeth and spring-like arms.
Okay.
I think that's the literal translation of my name. So who knew?
Yeah. Do you consider yourself a role model for other fledgling weirdos?
Yeah, I keep telling people, take accordion lessons. It couldn't hurt.
Where do you think comedy comes from, and why is it so important to our daily lives?
Comedy really comes from the pancreas. That's the internal organ, I think, that all comedy springs from. And I like to, keep my pancreas in good shape so that I'm able to supply comedy to the world at large.
Because you're so well known as a comedian, do you find that there's a certain pressure for you to be funny all the time?
If people come up to me in the grocery store when I'm shopping for broccoli and expect me to be bouncing off the walls and kooky and making jokes, and they seem somewhat disappointed when I'm actually human. And most of the people that I meet are a lot weirder than I am. They'll be like all over me going, "Hey, you must be Weird Al! You're a kooky guy! Woo! Weird Al! Yeah!" Like, "Hey, nice to meet you." "Nice to meet me! All right, Weird Al! Woo!"
Which brings me to my next question. You probably get a lot of responses from your fans and everything. What's one of the strangest ones you've ever gotten?
Responses to the fans?
No, from the fans. Things they send you, or just letters or anything like that. Anything strike you as particularly strange?
I get a lot of really bizarre things in the mail. Lately, what I've been noticing is like a lot of fans are getting Weird Al tattoos, which is flattering, I suppose, but it's kind of bizarre. I tell these people, this is gonna last for the rest of your life. Like, oh yeah, man, like my left arm is a shrine to you. Okay, good to know.
You've done a lot of really random songs, stuff like Stuck in a Closet with Vanna White, Everything You Know Is Wrong, recently Albuquerque. How do you decide what random thing is funnier than another? Like, how do you decide to say a box of 1 dozen starving crazed weasels instead of a box of 12 starving crazed snapping turtles?
Well, I've got I've developed a piece of software called the randomizer, and it's able to scientifically determine what the most random comedic phrase would be in any given situation. So, and I'm the only one with the software, and it's not for sale.
Let's talk about the new album a bit. The video for All About the Pentiums. Drew Carey gets down with you in the video. How was that arrangement reached?
I was hanging out with him at the House of Blues, and because Drew and I, we go bowling on occasion. We're down, we hang, and I mentioned that I was doing some new videos for my album, and he said offhandedly that he wouldn't mind doing a cameo. So I being the kind of guy that I am, I took him up on his offer.
Your guitarist is Jim West. How did you feel about Will Smith's portrayal of him?
I thought he did a very accurate portrayal. I saw the movie for the first time a few weeks ago, and I thought he acts just like my guitar player. It's uncanny.
You've done parodies of songs like La Bamba, MacArthur Park, and American Pie. What prompts you to dip into the classic rock vault?
Well, I like to go old school, every now and then. I mean, as much as I could do the Backstreet Boys and Britney Spears till the cows come home, every now and then I just have to reach into my the recesses of my memory and pull a song out of my childhood and do a song like American Pie because, I like to kick it with the old school cheese.
Okay.
Boy.
According to your horoscope for today, I should avoid any Virgos or Leos with the Ebola virus, and I am the true lord of the dance, no matter what those idiots at work say. Just how do you divine these horoscopes?
Well, I just read them right out of the paper. What can I say?
One of my favorite parodies on the album is Pretty Fly for a Rabbi. Just how fly is your rabbi?
Well, I don't really have a rabbi personally, but if I did, he would be the most fly.
Okay.
I would look under the rabbi directory and look for the fly rating.
Was the Lumberjack song any inspiration for the truck driving song?
Well, I actually started writing the truck driving song, not realizing the similarity to the Lumberjack song. And I'm a huge Monty Python fan, so I should have known better. And I was halfway through writing the song when I realized, this is kind of like the Lumberjack song. And I thought, oh well, yeah. I'll finish it anyway.
What do you have to say to all the other curly-haired accordion-playing polka artists out there?
Kids, this is dangerous work. Don't try this at home. Leave this to professionals. Thank you very much.
What do you feel about the new direction polka is taking, in particular gangsta polka? How do you feel about that?
The gangsta, I wish all the East Side and West Side polka players could just all get along, It's really sad what's happening on the streets today.
Have you done any of the Hollywood experience, nose jobs, personal trainers, that sort of thing?
Actually, whenever I do a live concert, it's kind of like having several thousand personal trainers. Because that's like my only real exercise these days, is like my 2-hour aerobics exercise on stage every night. So it's like having 7,000 personal trainers going, go, 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 go!
Speaking of the concerts, you often close with Yoda. Any particular reason?
Because after you sing Yoda, what else can you do? There's nowhere to go from there.
Okay.
Kind of wraps everything up. Puts a little bow on it.
Okay.
Put in the mail, FedEx. Gets it overnight.
What's your favorite memory of college?
Once I had a really good burrito there.
Okay.
It was great, I gotta tell you.
You used to work in a mailroom. What was the funniest thing about that job?
Oh, boy. That was a wacky occupation. The funniest thing was actually after I stopped working in the mailroom, because I worked for a radio syndication company, and part of what I had to do was make deliveries to CBS Records. And while I was in the mailroom, I got my record deal, and my record label was distributed by CBS. So a few months after I quit, I'd be at CBS Records, walking the halls, doing meetings, and people would be looking at me like, isn't that the delivery guy?
What makes you laugh?
Being strapped down and tickled mercilessly.
Does that happen a lot?
Every day.
Do you pay people to tickle you, or just random people, or?
No, people pay me for the privilege.
Oh, okay. Do any parody ideas come from the artists themselves?
Most of them do. They send thought waves to me, and I'm a bit of a scanner, so I'm a good receptacle for their vibrations, and they will me to do these parodies, even though many times they don't realize what they're doing.
Do you have any plans to do any sort of theater, like a parody musical of some sort?
Not a parody per se, but I am working on a musical based on the life of Jamie Farr, and it's still in pre-production. It might not be actually a reality for another few decades, but that's always been my side project.
What's your least favorite song?
It's hard to say because there's such a thin line between love and hate. What is that song from the 70s? Moonlight Feels Right? I forget who just I forget who does it, but it's very annoying.
You once alleged that Garth Brooks was in reality a 73-year-old first-generation Japanese gardener named Hisao Shinagawa. Is there any evidence to support that claim?
Well, again, I got the mental vibrations passed on from me, and I'm pretty sure it was from Garth Brooks, but I could be mistaken.
Okay.
I just have a strong feeling. I mean, he's done nothing to prove otherwise to me, okay?
That's fair. It's well known that there was a lot of bad blood between you and Coolio following the release of Amish Paradise. To your knowledge, have the Amish done anything to retaliate against you or Coolio?
I've heard rumors of Amish drive-bys, but those haven't been substantiated.
What did Stevie Wonder think of the song?
I'm not sure. He hasn't written me any letters lately, so I couldn't tell you. But I've met Stevie Wonder on a few occasions, and he seems to have a pretty good sense of humor, so I would hope that he liked it.
Okay, you got your major in architecture. What sort of building would you like to design?
I would like to design a giant accordion-shaped building that would expand and contract on a daily basis.
And what sort of business do you think would go on in that sort of building?
Probably, maybe it would be an accordion factory. How ironic.
I like that. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, where do ice cubes come from?
God. Oh, that reminds me. You once said that all the polka songs that end up in your polka medley, you play them as God intended them. Does God have any other messages about polka to the world?
Polka down with your bad self as often as possible.
Okay, and I guess my last question is, after you die, what do you want on your tombstone?
My name and the date of my birth and death.
No message?
Well, I think that, there is a message there, but you just have to kind of read into it. Read between the lines.
Okay, I think that covers everything I needed to ask. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thanks, Doug.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.